Hello, I'm Ciaran Doran and a very warm welcome to A Table for Four, a new craft programme which looks at tricks, tips and hacks and shows you how you can achieve some of these things at home. We're really inspired by the 1940s and make, do and mend, but we're going to take it up to date as well. But before we do that, I'd really love to introduce the guests to you. So we're going to give them a big warm welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Nancarrow and I am owner and founder of Titanic Denim.
My name is Margaret McLean.
Hi, my name's Clare Owens.
So what we're actually going to do is I'm going to do 3 demonstrations, and I've chosen for the first one, the one that is quite fiddly and takes a little bit of time, so covering buttons. So Mari, I've selected you to start off with covering buttons.
Okay.
And Margaret, I'm going to give you some hats that I thought would be fabulous to add some pom-poms to. And Claire, I've got for you a really gorgeous jumper that you're going to cut the sleeves off and turn the sleeves into arm warmers and make the jumper into a tank top. And I found a Victorian lace collar that I've been dying to use. What I'm going to do is show you the beauty of covering a button is you can use up all your scraps of fabric. I'm going to start you off on a big button, which is really, really easy. And what you often find is on the back of your pack of buttons, you'll have a template. So, as they say, here's one I prepared earlier. I've cut my template, and what's quite a good idea to do is maybe make a few of those and cut them. And I've got, here we go, this is quite a sweet piece of fabric. I made a bespoke shirt and you're going to be finishing off for me today.
Awesome.
So what I actually do is take the piece of fabric that is cut, you then take your button, these are 22mm, your button comes in 2 pieces. You've got the bit that you actually wrap the fabric around and then a little piece that you put on the top. I'm going to have to put my glasses on for this, if I can find them. And I think I'm going to sit down. Sometimes you spend your time when you're doing an activity, as you probably find, sitting up and sitting down all the time. Just make sure you're comfortable. I just take 2 bits of cotton, like a double cotton, and I do tie a knot at the end, and I snip that off. The template allows you, with enough fabric around the edge of your button, so that you actually can remove the button. I start on the inside. This is why I'm using quite a long needle. And you go in about a quarter of a centimetre and literally start to do a running stitch. So running stitch is the stitch where you literally just pull your needle in and you keep running the needle and then the stitch runs after it. Back stitch is where you go back again and it's a continuous stitch. So as you're pulling that quite gently, it will start to crinkle up, and I put my thumb to hold it. So as you can see, I'm just going all the way around. Just leave your tail at one end, because what you then want to do is gently pull that, okay? And this is the bit I love, and believe me, this does work. You pop your button in and you keep pulling. And you sometimes just have to almost jiggle your button around, and that will create a little ruched edge like this, okay? I like to make sure it's really secure, and I just put a few holding stitches. Nobody's going to see this, so it doesn't matter. So what I do is I tuck the fabric in. I don't get rid of that just yet. I then take my back of the button and then you press it and it clicks. And honestly, this is the exciting bit. I love this. It's very sad. But look, beautiful little button there. Yeah. So I'm going to pass the buttons over to you.
Okay.
And
any particular size?
I think the best one to start with would be these ones, because I've got a template cut for you, which is, where are we? 22mm.
Perfect.
These ones are 29mm. You might want to have a go with those. So what I would do is I'll give you a pencil. You could just have a little start cutting your templates, and then when we're all ready to start, we can all have a go together. Okay. So I'm going to move those there, and I will give you a pencil just to get started. Now, I haven't forgotten you. I've got something for you here. I'm going to pass this on to Mari. Mari, this is your little bag of goodies and fabric.
Thank you. It's very exciting.
There's a shirt that we've already, Mari and I have discussed this earlier, we've already made a start on that. So it's a question of using the tips and tricks from everything that we're learning today to add to your shirt. And I think buttons covered in that fabric would be fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even going along the top, or I love buttons on the back of things as well. So I'll leave that there for you, and I will supply you with everything else that you need. So the next thing we're going to move on to is the Pom Pom. I've got inside this bag for you. I'm a huge fan of the beret. A beret, really fashionable, really current, but also a tribute to the 1940s. You can't go wrong with a beret. So what you could actually do to your beret is add some covered buttons. But the technique that I'm going to show you today is the Pom Pom. Who doesn't love a lovely, big, fluffy, fat Pom Pom? I've given you a selection of berets here in which you can choose what you want to do. But when we were at school learning how to make a Pom Pom, it was quite laborious, took quite a long time. You'd get a piece of cardboard and you'd have to cut a circle, and you'd wind it through, you'd wind it through, you'd wind it through until you could get no more. And then you had the kind of stressful bit of actually then cutting it. That's great. But I have discovered a new way that I discovered when I was doing some research for Make, Do and Mend. You can take 4 fingers and you literally wind round. Now, in fact, could I just ask you to hold that for me? That'd be great, and unwind a bit. So this is the thing about crafting. You kind of all help each other. That's lovely. I have a sister-in-law who's called Pippa, and she's Pippa the knitter, and she sometimes just gets me. She says, stand there, and I'm there for about 2 hours holding bits of wool for her. Okay, then being really careful, my scissors. So what you have to do, this is the bit where it all falls apart. Could you just cut me a bit about that long? That's lovely. Thank you. Now, what I'm actually going to do is slide it off your fingers. This is nice, soft, fluffy wool. And I'm putting the loop all the way around it, almost so it looks like a little skein of wool. Next bit, this is actually my favourite bit, and I'm going to let you use my best scissors. You literally, you cut here. And you see, it's so much quicker than the previous way. So it doesn't look fluffy to begin with, but then you take it, you hold it like that, and literally just, it's a bit like cutting your fringe. Just go at it carefully. We've all done that. We've all trimmed our fringe too much. And I just quite gently have a look at that, and then I turn it around. If the wool is nice and fluffy, the shape is made for you. And there you have a really, that's quite cute. Does anybody have any questions about pom-poms?
I just had a little suggestion with regards to your pom-pom. In order to get it very fluffy, if you take the long pieces of string that are attached to it and swing, it fluffs it all out for you.
Should we have a go?
But yeah, if you hold the long string and just swing it around, it fluffs out the pom-pom for you. As fast as you can, that's it. And then it puffs it all out
It's
for
a
you.
bit like, oh my God, that's fabulous. Do you know what that reminds me of? If you've ever done wet felting and you have to shake what you're making 1,000 times and you literally put it in a pair of tights and you swing it. This is much nicer, thank you. Well, I know what I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm going to be making all my Christmas pom-poms. Thank you so much. That's fabulous. That's what I love. A lovely hack, a lovely trick. So swing your pom-poms. A table for 4 where you will swing your pom-poms. So I'm going to let you swing your pom-poms and have a little think there. Claire, what I'm going to ask you to do, I've got a bit of knitwear here, and I had been saving this jumper for another project. The idea of this is to use running stitch as a decorative stitch, but also as a stitch that can hold your piece together once you've started to cut it. I've also included on this a little Victorian collar that I've had for a long while that I'm not going to use, and I just thought that would be quite beautiful added to the jumper that you are going to turn into a tank top. So I'll let you take that to one side. What I have got here is a jumper. I've already cut one sleeve off because a lovely thing to do is you can turn your sleeves into a little arm warmer using the bottom of the sleeve as the bit that you need to keep tight up your arm. I've already cut one sleeve off, and what I'm going to do here is show you, just thought this would make a lovely tank top, but I'm going to take a little bit more off here, and you're going to do exactly the same on the other side.
Okay.
Then what I'm going to do is just pin this, and you can do this on the other side. You want to just make sure you pin it. So what you would do is carry all the way round with that. Once you've done that, I'm just going to bring you back to basics with running stitch. Now, running stitch is your classic stitch that is used for hems. It's the first stitch you really learn at school. It's simple, it's strong. You can turn running stitch into back stitch. If you can do running stitch and back stitch, you can do blanket stitch. I heard that you like cross stitch. So what you could do is 2 rows of running stitch with cross stitch in the middle. It's completely up to you. What I'm going to do here is I've got some thread. Now you don't have to use this thread. You can unpick this if you like, but I just chose a colour that was quite good. So here's one nicely threaded up. And literally running stitch, I'm going to start at the armpit, or is it an oxter, is it called? I've learned some good Northern Ireland expressions. The thing about running stitch is, in this case, we want it to be seen. So I've got a knot at the end, and you literally are going to run. That's why it's called running stitch. You run your needle, and you just feel where the seam is, and I'm putting the needle under the seam. But I've got a really good tip for you that I learned from one of my classes. I take my pencil, and I draw on my thumb a little line. You might know this already. And what that does is it helps me as a guide to where I'm going to put my next stitch. And I'm just going to get you to carry on like that. If you wanted to tack it first, you can do. So you just carry on all the way with that.
Sure.
Okay. When we get to this bit, we can revisit this and have a look. But what I found from experience is when you want to make your arm warmer, make sure you use the bottom of the sleeve to actually be at the top, because it has got a little bit of elastic in. And what I thought would be nice is you could do your running stitch. I quite like the way that there's a bit of a gradient in that one. So between the 3 of you, you've got running stitch, you can cover buttons. If you feel like covering a button in that, we could experiment to see which is the best size button for that, okay? So what I'm going to do is get you into your individual kind of little workstations. I will pass you what you need, and I'm going to be here working with you. So Margaret, I didn't want you to feel forgotten. When you're looking for a pom-pom, you want to look at bounce and texture. I think a pom-pom gives things a personality. I was just thinking that hat is a little bit, maybe a little bit sad, but you could do a gorgeous, really thick pom-pom with that. Also, you could maybe experiment with some of that slightly crinkly wool. And if you wanted to have a go at doing some running stitch, I've got plenty of embroidery thread. So literally, you just help yourself to that. Whatever you don't want to use, just let me know and I can take that off the table. And likewise, if you felt there was something that you really fancy using, you can have a go. That's your embroidery thread to get you started. So Mari, You've opened your
Yes.
bag of goodies.
I have, yeah,
And-
lots of denim.
I had made a start for you, and you've done some lovely bits on that as well. Really, it's just showing how what I call the humble white shirt can be elevated quite
Sure.
simply by the use of, we've used fabric that we've ironed on to save a little bit of time. You could do running stitch around the edges just to enhance the fabric. There's also the option to put a little bit in the collar there, and you could cover buttons and maybe just use them decoratively on the shoulders. I've got plenty of coloured embroidery thread for you to use, and pins and ribbons and whatever you want. I see that you've brought a bag with you. Is that something that you've made?
Yeah, this is my little sewing bag. I actually collaborate with an organisation called Industrial, they're called International Synergies, and they run a programme called Industrial Symbiosis. So they actually run workshops where they match resources. They have a database of companies who have waste materials, and then they match it with people like myself, people like you, artists, craft people, designers. This is another bag that I made as well.
Gorgeous.
So this is actually a Gucci Fiat 500 corset belt, which I managed to get my hands on. This is reclaimed leather. A pair of jeans, again another seat belt, and the inside is made from dead stock lining. So again, trying to be zero waste. It's not always possible because I had to use zips and the piping as well, but that's what mainly I focus on.
Absolutely beautiful. That's quite
thank you.
inspiring. See, you're making a great start there. One thing you can do when you are doing your pom-pom is, and the pom-pom queen in the audience will probably know this already, if you put a button at the bottom of the pom-pom, say you are putting it on this beanie hat, and you put a button here and you sew the thread through the button, it just gives it a little bit of extra security. I've got a little head here, if that would make it easier for you to work on. If you fancy that green hat, you could have a go with that one. I was just kind of practicing and playing around yesterday. Once you start with buttons, the whole world opens up. So Margaret, I'm going to concentrate on you for a moment. Are those scissors okay for you?
Yes, they're
Yeah,
fine.
that's fabulous. So do you know a really nice way of holding it? If you hold it just like that, but be really careful and hold it arm's length, you can get your shaping, but everybody has their own technique. And have you decided which hat you're going to use?
I kind of like the black one.
Yeah,
because I like
I like
black
the
as the
black.
basis. Yeah.
Yeah, and black I think is really, it's got a crossover. It would look good. It can be smart, but it can also be quite funky, quite casual. I like the fact that not just women are wearing berets and hats. I've seen quite a few men wearing hats and berets. So have you made lots of things? Do you like crafts and arts and making things, or
Yeah, I
what
just
particularly
like
do you
playing about with different things and trying different crafts. Yeah.
What would be your favourite?
Sewing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Learned to crochet at the minute.
Did you?
So I've got as far as doing a granny square, and that's about it.
I haven't had much success with crochet.
Right.
All mine tend to turn in, and I can't keep them square. I need Tom Daly to show me. Did he teach you how to crochet?
No, we had a good tutor from Bangor.
Yeah.
Came and helped to show us all the wee bits and pieces.
So with the granny square, remind me, you start with a circle,
Yeah.
and then you do like a shell kind of
Effect, yeah.
effect. This is where I go wrong. You're then meant to add on bits as you go. This is when mine turns into like a bottle top.
You need to make sure you have your corners.
My corners, okay.
So it's doing the corners, I think, is the key. Yeah.
So if I brought a crochet hook along one day and some wool, you'd be able to.
I could show you how to do a granny square. Yeah.
The granny square, like lots of things that we're doing today, has had a massive reinvention
Yeah.
in all the kind of autumn, winter for 23, 24 on the catwalks in Paris and Milan. You know, when you scour all the magazines, there were granny squares.
Squares, yeah.
But I've seen them actually printed digitally onto fabric
Yes,
and
I've
covered
seen that,
in
yes.
chairs. So that would be quite nice with denim. Imagine a denim waistcoat with a kind of
Yeah, would be
granny
lovely.
square
Yeah.
bit. Now that would be a collaboration that you two could, and then you could add a bit of knitwear to it as well. I think denim is such a versatile fabric. I love working with cashmere because cashmere has got that quality, that softness, that durability, and the fact that you're meant to believe that the wool comes from a goat, from cashmere, from the underbelly of a goat. That is where cashmere comes from. That is looking rather gorgeous.
After the wee swing.
That's fabulous. Do you remember that game at school? I'm giving away my age now, where it was the Kanokas that were two. They were like almost like ceramic, and you kind of clicked them.
Yes,
and
I remember those.
They were quite dangerous.
The clackers, yeah.
Clackers.
I thought you were going to say when, I don't know if anyone remembers, you put a tennis ball into a sock.
Yes.
And you just hit it against
the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did that make felt? No.
No.
Okay. So Claire, over to you. Tell me about your creative interests and what do you like doing?
I like doing an awful lot of different crafts. Some knitting that's not following a pattern, just a scarf. Cross stitch, hand sewing, machine sewing, jewellery making, dressmaking, curtain making.
Oh really? Oh my gosh, quite a lot then.
Woodworking, a vast selection of painting on canvas.
Yeah.
Anything and everything.
Have you ever done that where you've gone out to buy the stuff to do something and actually not completed it?
I have approximately 4,000 projects at home that are
4,000.
uncompleted.
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah.
I have a special box with all the unfinished things in, yeah.
Yeah, but I think
That I'm going to go back to. I'm going to do.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I find it really encouraging to know that I'm not the only person.
Oh, yeah.
But I think there's something really soothing about looking forward to doing a creative activity. Oh, I've seen this jumper. Like I couldn't wait to cut the sleeves off, and the production manager said, "You're going to have to wait." And I was like, "No, I really have to do it." You sometimes have to know if something's doable. And I think the heart and soul of being successful with creating projects is going back to basics. I've fallen victim to watching something. I think acrylic pouring was perhaps my biggest ever mistake because when you see an acrylic pour on TV or YouTube, they set it up and they pour it from a height and it's on a turntable and it creates this wonderful pattern. It's not the same when you're trying to do it in your small kitchen and you haven't got the height and you haven't got the volume. So I think it's great that this workshop here, I kind of see this is like the laboratory for experimentation. One of the joys of crafting is that sense of kind of organising yourself when you've got your idea out. And I think sewing is a really good way of it's like writing, or it's like painting. Yeah. There's a lot of kind of release creatively. And also when I'm sewing, I think about other things. It's a bit like walking. Yeah. It's quite meditative. So we've learnt about covering buttons, about how you can use your scraps of fabric to cover buttons. We've looked at running stitch, and you seem to be making a great headway there with that. I'm absolutely loving that. And when you do your running stitch, it is a kind of template for leading you to do other big stitches. So you like cross stitch, you could do 2 rows of running stitch and then your cross stitch in between. Margaret, you finished. Well done. That is absolutely gorgeous. And that is the fluffiest, most gorgeous pom-pom. You just want to touch it. I think that's absolutely beautiful. And what I noticed is did you cut the stalk off the top of the beret? Or you've included that
No,
in
I've
the design?
I've included it in the design.
In the design. Yeah. Do you know what I love about that? That's got a bit of movement. That's like if you're walking down the street in that. I'm really tempted to try it on, but I have such an enormous head, it probably wouldn't fit So what we've got here is a little head. I'm going to let you pop that on there and you arrange it how you want it to be seen, and we'll just show that to the camera. Oh, that is absolutely beautiful. Oh, I love that.
Tilted
Look at
to-
that.
tilted to
That
the
is
side.
gorgeous. I think that deserves a round of applause. That's brilliant. I mean, you've really woken up your wardrobe. You've done your pom-pom, you've done your running stitch. So well done. And
Thank
you've got
you.
a couple of hats to take home with
Yeah.
you to continue your creative journey. And thank you so much for taking
thank
part. I
you.
hope you've
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Claire, how about you?
Hello.
I can see you've made a beautiful
It's not finished.
lace top. That doesn't matter at all. That's absolutely good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that up so the audience can see that. I just want you to have a look at that. Well, now that looks like something that you would buy not just in a vintage shop. That looks like high fashion. So it's a tank top with a Victorian lace collar that's been added. What I'm also really intrigued to look at, to see how you got on doing the sleeves.
Yes, I didn't get pinching for the thumb.
That doesn't. Can I try it on?
Certainly.
Mind you, let me just see if I can fit. So let's see. That is fabulous. So what you'll do is you'll pinch your stitch there. I think that's gorgeous. I think that's really, really lovely. What you have to do though is put some ribbon all the way through them. Wherever it's still, so like your mittens, so you don't
lose them.
Well done. And I think
And some decorative running there as well.
Oh, that's what I was saying. Look at that. That's lovely.
yeah.
That use of the double, talk about double denim. We've got double running stitch here. And you can use your covered buttons as and where. You can maybe use them as something extra. You've got some lovely fabric left over. Thank you so much, Claire.
Thank
You've been
you.
Fantastic, Jess. Really amazing. Well done. And Mari, let's move over to you. I can see here you've done some fantastic stitching. Absolutely beautiful. So how did you approach that? You've just done your running stitch. What did you use?
Yeah, I just used the navy actually in the end, and I think I like always to do like a border work that I do if I'm doing like patching or anything like that. So I think this gives it makes it stand out a little bit more, and then around the collar as well, to do that running stitch around those little pieces. So what I'll do next is then cover some of the buttons in the same material. Because we have denim here, I'll do maybe one with denim, one with this colour, you know, one with denim, one with this colour.
Would you like to hold that up so that the audience can see
I
it?
can.
Just mind yourself on the pins there. I think that's beautiful. I think that little pocket is perfect for a mobile phone.
Yeah,
or,
true, yeah.
Or your whatever, your messages, or your bits and pieces.
Yeah,
that's
that's true,
absolutely
actually.
beautiful. And it just shows you how the humble white shirt, we've all got white shirts in our wardrobe that sometimes just need a little bit of a kickstart. And what we actually did was we used that self-adhesive iron-on material just to kind of speed up the process a little bit. It's still hand sewing, and I can see there you've already covered one tiny little button there. That seems to work. So what I'm going to do to add to your pack, because what I think you could do is maybe do with some really small buttons as well.
Sure.
So once you've mastered the art of buttons, so take
Thank
those
you.
as well.
Thank you very much.
So thank you again. I think that really does deserve a really big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Murray, Margaret and Claire, I just can't thank you enough for coming in today and sharing a table for four with us and the audience. You've inspired us all, and I really hope that everybody has enjoyed it. And thank you so much for joining us. It's been fantastic.